Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today in Chaos Tactics I'm looking at the Imperial Knights faction focus. Very strong rules of what I've seen so far, so watch out for these very big machines. With no further ado, let's get started. So today, the 19th of May, just before I start trying to address some of the complaints that I get from analyzing early data. Yes, we have only a few data sheets, only a few rules, but I think we can do some analysis already to see that some of the rules seem to be working well together, and with all the data we have today, we can predict some things. I'm not the one to just be a doomsayer and always think the worst for the Chaos factions, but some of them, for example, Chaos Demons was really interesting. Death Guard less so. World Leaders strong, but a bit non-thematic with his Yahtzee dice collection. And now today, Imperial Knights, or yesterday, revealed really strong data, and I'll try to explain in this video why rationally I'm thinking that they get better rules than Death Guard. So, as I said, Imperial Knights faction focus, looking first at their army rules and why they are so good. Then looking at the data sheets, their weapons, the damage output, and then finally a simulation of an Armiger fighting Blightlords and see who can do the most damage. So with no further ado, let's get started. So the Imperial Knights army rules. The army rule is the code chivalric. And here before you start the battle, you can select either the Lay Low the Tyrant or the Reclaim the Realm, and Lay Low the Tyrant is really strong, and I can see why you should select the Reclaim the Realm, because Lay Low the Tyrant gives an excellent oath ability that fits really strong to the Knights. So basically that each time a model is selected to shoot or fight, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. So basically rerolling hits of 1 and rerolling wounds of 1. And the weapons, and this is a super fit with Imperial Knights, big models with hefty weapons. You don't want these pesky ones to hit or to wound to hold you back. Now with rerolls, you would probably hitting on 2s or 3s, rerolling 1s, wounding probably on 2s and rerolling 1s. That's guarantee very high damage. The deed is that you need to destroy the enemy warlord. When you do so, you get 3 command points, because why not? And also honor. When you get this honoring, you get some further benefits. Reclaim the realm. I can't see the same use for that one. +1 to move characteristics and 1 to advance and charge rolls, and to fulfill the deed, you have to control an objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone. That's not very easy to do. So I think Lay Low the Tyrant will be the choice of the Imperial Knight players. And then on top of this, the detachment rules for the Imperial Knights. On top of the very high toughness we have seen in 10th edition for all the vehicles becoming, let's say, toughness 10, 12 or higher, the detachment rules, all Imperial Knight models get Feel No Pain 6+ ability, and if you get your deed done, you get a 5+ Feel No Pain ability. This is extremely strong for models that have already 20 wounds or so. 5+ Feel No Pain is no joke. You can be saving quite a lot of damage, and it takes even more. It's more difficult to even start bringing down those big machines. So really strong fit, very strong rules. The vehicles in general are strong with much increased toughness. The vehicles now degrade much less than before, only at a third of the wounds. They don't lose so much movability. They maybe hit a little bit worse. The Imperial Knights, re-rolling with a Lay Low the Tyrant and getting Feel No Pains that they can even improve. Very strong combo, in my opinion, at least with what we have seen so far. Now looking at the small knights, the Armiger Warglaive and basically the Chaos Knight, the equivalent are the War Dogs. So now we see the toughness from the data stats. So the toughness increases to 10 and the objective control is a hefty 8. And I hope for Chaos Knights players like myself, the War Dogs will receive the similar treatment, high toughness and a nice objective control. So objective control 8, remember, that can easily beat, for example, 5 Terminators and Blightlords and things like that. Elite Infantry, they seem only to get objective control 1, so you need a big blob to steal something away from this Armiger. You would need at least 4 of the normal troops like Intercessors that have objective control 8 to contest the Armiger. So objective control 8, 12 movement. That's really strong and can get the knights where they need to be. So still keeping the hive movement until it degrades to 4 wounds, and basically you don't degrade the movement and you just get -1 to the hit roll. Normally hitting on 3s, then the most you can degrade is degrading to 4 plus, and previously with the degradation of the vehicles you would be even hitting on 5s. They are battle line. They have the battle line keyword, so that it means you can take up to 6. I guess that would be the same for war dogs. They keep the 5+ invulnerable shield versus range shooting, and we see the thermal spear. This Melta type weapon has increased in strength 12 now. Previously range 30, now it's only range 24, but it does let's say d6 plus 4 damage at half range, at 12-inch range, so very strong into close quarters. And then the melee weapon is quite nice. The strike, a nice damage 3, and the sweep is strength 8 and makes 8 attacks. And when it is the Armiger charges, it will get sustained hits, so exploding 6s in with a melee weapon. So very, very good rules for the Armiger. And then looking at one of the big knights that was revealed, the Canis Rex, a named big knight character. Let's say he gets a toughness 12, so that's really nice. 22 wounds. And of course, if you're death carding and come close by this behemoth, it will only be toughness 11. It has an objective control of 10, and this is not as good as value as the Armigers with objective control of 8. So will that be similar for Chaos Knights? Will we still see, thanks to this objective control and the points, maybe we will still see a lot of the smaller Armigers or War Dogs being the mainstay of the armies? Let's see. It has the Chainbreaker ability. This is really good. This gives critical hits on a hit roll of 5+, so both 5s and 6s will trigger the sustained hits, and all the weapons for the Canis Rex basically have sustained hits. So on 5s and 6s, I didn't even bother to calculate this. I only gave him on 6s to hit the damage output you will see on the next pages. But this is really a strong ability. And we see, for example, the Freedom Hand in melee. The strike ability is strength 10, AP -3, and a damage 9. It can really cleave vehicles very easily. With 5 attacks, you would at least, and the rerolling ones, you would get at least 2, let's say 1/5 and 1/6, to get extra wound rolls. And then on the wound rolls, you probably, for most targets, you would be winning on 2s, rerolling 1s. So very strong weapons, and as you will see, I'll show you the damage output is off the charts. And then some other weapons and strats, and some of the other weapons, not to just be outshined by the Canis Rex. The Thunder Coil Harpoon for the big knights here. This is quite interesting, one shot, but it's both anti-monster 4+, anti-vehicle 4+, and has devastating wounds. So basically versus a monster or a vehicle with strength 24, probably wounding already on a 2+, and on everything that you wound on a 4+, the 12 damage becomes mortal wounds. There is no save roll, and if you are lucky against infantry, elite infantry, you hit a 6 wound, you would be killing 4 Terminators. But of course, it's not so easy to do the 6 wound here. And then we saw also the rapid fire battle cannon, and basically rapid fire is the correct word here. The normal profile d6 plus 3 shots at 72-inch range. If it comes between 36 inches, then you double these attacks. You get 2d6 plus 6 shots. That will be 13 shots on average. Strength 10, AP -1, damage 3. So this could be a nice Terminator killer with the 3 damage. So 2 of the strats that were shown: Shoulder the Burden, 2 command points, a bit expensive, but gives a knight +1 on basically all stats and +1 to hit, so more move, toughness, save, leadership, and objective control. And the Trophy Claim, a nice way to kill off some vehicles or monsters. You select a knight and an enemy monster or vehicle. The knight gets +1 to wound, and if the vehicle is killed, you get 1 command point. So basically then you can use the Trophy Claim again on the next round. So basically an easier way to kill vehicles, and if you do so with some of these very strong weapons, you could get the command point it costs to use the stratagem back. So reaching now to the Imperial Knights weapons damage output, as always in this table you will see all the weapons that we have seen previewed from the faction focus, and then on the right hand side you see the various targets, some of other factions and typical targets on the battlefield. The numbers there are the wounds taken on average by the weapon in mention, and if you see a comma in the table, for example 4,5, that means 4.5. The comma is just a decimal point. So if we start by looking at the Armiger, you see the heavy stabber, the thermal spear, and the reaper chain. So the Armiger can deal some good damage to his two vehicles with a thermal spear, and his melta gun not shown here. And you can see around with the thermal spear at 12 inches, you can see 9 wounds on a rhino or a gladiator, 7 wounds on a repulsor. So strong choices here. And the Reaper chain strike is quite good versus elite infantry. I didn't include the charge bonus in this table, but it could be killing, let's say, a Blightlord here or a Terminator, a couple of intercessors. So he can do quite a lot of damage. And today, an Armiger is around 145 points. Of course, we don't know what that will be in the 10th edition. Then looking at the Canis Rex, his Freedom Hand, the damage output here is off the charts. He can wipe several vehicles here, 42 wounds on a Rhino or a Gladiator on average, Repulsor 34 wounds, another big knight like the Canis Rex, 28 wounds on that. So everything that comes close to the Canis Rex would be melting by his Freedom Hand. Very nice freedom here. The Las Impulsor with high intensity can basically destroy a Rhino and do a lot of damage to other vehicles. And yeah, some good strong weapons here. Finally, one shot from the harpoon here, 11 wounds on average versus vehicles. The anti-monster, anti-vehicle is very strong and devastating wounds. And the rapid fire battle cannon, thankfully only with AP -3, AP -1 if you're facing it. It will still kill 2 or 3 Terminators at 36 inches, and it could wipe a 5-man squad of intercessors or marine equivalent. Finally, let's look at Armigers versus Blightlords and calculating an example here. Here I'm assuming that we have a 5-man squad of Blightlords, one with a Reaper autocannon, one has the flail, and the rest have combi plague bolters and the bubotic blades. They shoot the Armiger. The Armiger is the closest model, so their shooting gets the reroll once to wound, and then in the charge they can do damage with their weapons. And you see here the table next to the Blightlords, 3 plague combi bolters. They will be scoring almost 1 wound on the Armiger. The Reaper autocannon by itself can also do almost 1 wound. In total, 1.7 wounds here, chipping off a little bit of wounds on the Armiger. And then when they come close into melee, we have 4 bubotic blades with a lethal hits ability. This scores an additional 3 wounds, and then on the Flail of Corruption, 1.7 wounds. So a total maybe of 6.5 wounds if we don't buff the Terminators. So taking almost half the life of the Armiger, but not degrading it even. If we use the strat that we saw for the Blightlords, where we can buff the melee, giving them sustained hits and sustained hit 2 if they are near our objective for 1 command point. So if we assume that they charge the Armiger while the Armiger is in the objective that we control in somehow, then the damage increases, we get sustained hits. So the bubotic blades, they do 4 wounds, and the Flail of Corruption 2 wounds. So in total 6 wounds. We will be taking, with the shooting and the buffed melee, 8 wounds on average from the Armiger, almost degrading the Armiger with his buffs. And this is assuming that the Chaos Knights only have the 6+ Feel No Pain, not the 5+ Feel No Pain. Otherwise, the damage would be lower. So a 5-man Blightlords cannot kill the Armiger. If we look at the Armiger, then if the Armiger is shooting, he shoots all his weapons on the Blightlords at close range within 12 inch, and then moves in for the charge. We see his damage output killing one Blightlord during shooting and one more in melee. And of course, he will be stealing the objective if the Blightlords were parked in the objective alone, and killing two of them. They can't fight as well back. And then next time he can kill more. And of course, with a 12-inch move and the Blightlords having a 4-inch move, the advantage of where the fight will take place is, of course, on the Imperial Knights table. So, reaching to the summary final thoughts, in my humble opinion, very strong rules for the Imperial Knights, some strong army rules, some very strong detachment rules, everything in combination makes them quite a big threat on the table. Overall, they are benefiting from the good rules for vehicles in the 10th edition, with high toughness for vehicles, less degradation, etc. And all these rules that they get play well in hand with how they, with their strengths and buffing them in several ways. And hopefully, Chaos Knights hopefully can get some similar treatment, making the War Dogs and the Abominant Knights, etc., more juicy. They will be up on Monday, and I will be there painting my Chaos Knights in preparation for a maybe vehicle heavy 10th edition. Watch out for the Armigers and the Imperial Knights. This concludes the video. Let me know what you think. And if you like to discuss more, please visit the Discord channel, GeneralJannis Chaos Tactics, links in the description. You can visit my Patreon page if you want to support my efforts to bring you all this analysis as it is available. And if you also, you can also become a YouTube member and get a GeneralJannis badge to your comments. So with these words, GeneralJannis signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye bye.